him our shining prince. That's what Ossie Davis called him, our shining prince. I don't think nobody, except maybe Marcus, comes close to what maybe Paul Robeson, those three people, come close to what Malcolm meant to me as an African-American man involved in liberation. And that's a tall order. Because there's many influences on us, but that nobody had that influence, I think, that Malcolm X has. And it's interesting when I look back at my life and people say, who was your major influence? My father talked about Marcus Garvey as his major influence. And as I became a man, I would say those two men also are my major influences, and Malcolm and Marcus.
Malcolm and Marcus.
I think Malcolm set the tone for how you do not be deceived by your oppressor. And that means sometimes you pay a price. And it's interesting that Malcolm said to us, and on some of his recordings, is he wanted to know and wanted King to know that probably America was going to take them both out, whether you're violent or non-violent.
It really didn't matter.
It didn't matter. It did not matter.
It didn't matter that he was a leader, and that's what America couldn't understand.
Exactly.
Didn't like the fact.
If you're a token, like Clarence Thomas, you rise. You aspire to be all you can be, and you become all you can be that they want you to be. But if you take the Malcolm's position as we're African people born in America, right? Then you get a different kind of flavor how the system responds to you, and how they see you, and how they view your threat ranking, and that's what he taught us to do.
Well, you know, looking back over the last 3 minutes that we have here, what would you say, in a real sense, is the legacy of Malcolm X? You know, we talked about Garvey, we talked about King, but what about Malcolm himself?
I would hate that he would become a cult figure, where we think he was perfect, because he wasn't perfect, obviously. But if you look at Malcolm's children compared to King's children, I mean, just compare those, okay? Malcolm's kids are doing so much better than King's kids. They seem to be on point. They seem to be producing. They seem to be contributing. They seem to be growing. They seem to be creating networks. Whereas Martin's kids don't seem to be able to quite cut it. They don't seem to be able to take the daddy's legacy and build a network and take it to another level. I think that what the ultimate goal that Malcolm wanted all black men to do is just look at yourself as a very special man. What will you leave behind here? How will you dismantle the America that we know? Because he always said, America would never accept you in civil rights terms. You've got to become a human rights activist, because until they respect you as a human right, you have human rights, you can't have civil rights. As long as the Constitution says, he said, as long as you're 2/3 of a human being, 3/5 or 4/5, no civil rights are going to ever allow you to walk into the arena of mankind and hold your head up high, because someone has decided to fractionalize you. And Malcolm saying, he constantly said, no, never let anybody decide because you have African blood in you that you are not part of the human race. I think that's his legacy.
You know, last minute here, one thing in reference to King, a lot of folks who talk about King's assassination will tell you that their world came to an end that day. What was your attitude in reference to when you first learned of the assassination of Malcolm?
I thought that at this point, we need to never look back on anything he said with lightly. Now that he's gone, his words became more important. His blood stopped flowing in his body, but the fire in us really ignited. That was my feeling. They took him from us. Now I know exactly.
He became great by the very fact of
everything he taught me. I would use the rest of my life and spread it to every person I talk to. Now I want you to see Malcolm in me. And that's why I wear what I have on. I want you to see that shining prince that Ossie Davis talked about. I want you to see I have no fear of any man. I hate no man and respect any man who respects me.
Very good. And of course, Brother Little, let me thank you for bringing us that excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.